guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and prepare for me to ramble. I have just decided to throw out some prospecting, investing type videos, some real short clips, just to take a look at what's going on with some just particular factions of cards. And today's video is going to be about the 2016 rookie class. We're going to look at their Prizm Silver PSA 10 rookie cards and just kind of compare the journey that these particular rookies from the 2016 class have been on over the last 2 years, and then we're just going to kind of shrink that focus down to maybe the last 3 months, maybe the last month, as we start to get through this offseason and information and trades and roster completion and updates and things like that start to build towards the next NBA season, which should be an absolutely great one. So these guys primarily are entering their, let's see, 2016, so that would be 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, their sixth year, which is crazy to think. We're talking about DeJounte Murray. We're talking about Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram. Here, I'll pull it up for you. I'm in Card Ladder, and I've got their index pulled up. And then I've got it sorted by cards, 2016 Prizm Silver PSA 10. And then I pulled these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rookies. All of which are extremely relevant in the modern NBA landscape, all the way from DeJounte and Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown. I even included Domantas Sabonis in here, Ben Simmons, and Pascal Siakam. But let's just kind of talk about them. The thing that I like to really focus on here is, I've got it sorted by the last 2 years, percentage change. What's really going to pop out and stand out to you guys is clearly the fact that DeJounte Murray cards have tripled, more than tripled. They began at about $200 2 years ago in PSA 10 Silver Prizm. We're talking about a Pop 134 card. There's a pretty large sample size, so we're not talking about a small sample size. Here it's the graph over here, the picture of the card. Sorry, there's the card we're talking about. That's going to be blocked by my fat face. But I've got the graph pulled up under here, and as you can see, this card was a $200 card 2 years ago. He's really the big winner over the last 2 years because he was toiling in relative obscurity. He had torn his ACL. He played for the Spurs, which nobody cares about. My apologies to Emil Sarfani in the great city of San Antonio, but nobody cares about the Spurs, especially not this coming year. And so DeJounte Murray was about as off the radar and off the map as possible. Now he's been traded to the Hawks. He's joined up with Trae Young. You can see over the last 2 years, his card's up 3x. From $200, it's risen all the way up to $640. The card even hit a high of $945. The guy is a potential walking triple-double. He legitimately, well, in San Antonio, this year he would have had a chance to average or at least approach averaging a triple-double because he was the clear-cut alpha on that team. They decided to part ways. They did the deal with Atlanta. Now, I think his numbers are going to suffer, but I guess there's a lot of excitement surrounding him because anytime a player gets traded, people go batshit crazy. Pardon my language, but that's what's going on with him. Not to mention the fact that he just moved to a team that is actually relevant. Again, I don't know if the Hawks can get out of the East. I would be absolutely astonished. I don't know what Vegas odds are, but I'd be astonished if they got past the Heat, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nets if they stay together, the Sixers. I don't think they're better than any of those teams. But who knows? It's going to be an exciting brand of basketball with him and Trae Young and John Collins. But if you kind of take a look here, the percentage change for the rest of these guys is just absolutely devastating. The next best performer is Jamal Murray, whose Prizm Silver PSA 10 is down 17%. So he's the next best performer, and that dude's been injured forever. I mean, we haven't seen him play basketball for a very long time. Hopefully, God willing, he'll come back this year along with a healthy Michael Porter Jr. and make some moves for the Nuggets. But worst performer on here is Pascal Siakam, and I'm about to scare the hell out of you. If you thought Ben Simmons cards had dropped like a rock, his cards have went from 1876 2 years ago to, as you can see on this graph, $384 for a Ben Simmons Prizm Silver PSA 10. People got smashed on his cards. I am so fortunate that I got out when I did. I do have a couple of smaller cards of Ben Simmons that I'm just stuck with. I am certainly not selling now. I am going to wait. I'm not going to just throw it onto this bonfire of Ben Simmons cards that the market is right now. I'm going to wait and see if the guy can show up and put up some numbers and win some games and maybe regain some confidence in the hobby and in the NBA world. But Pascal Siakam is the one that's actually done the worst over the last 2 years, and he's a pretty damn good player. Now, I think that Scotty Barnes is going to get in there and he's going to supplant him as the alpha on that team, or maybe you think Fred VanVleet was the alpha. I think Scotty Barnes is the man. That is coming from somebody who owns no Scotty Barnes cards. I just saw enough of the Rookie of the Year to know he can do some things. He's going to be very relevant in the NBA, a very versatile two-way player that's got some ball handling and distribution ability. He can be a high usage rate guy. He can be a guy you run your offense through. He's not there yet, but I think he can. And freakishly long, super efficient kid, will learn to shoot the ball better and is going to be an all-star in this league. I don't think there's any question he's going to be an all-star in this league. He will be a better player than Pascal Siakam as soon as this year, in my opinion. Again, feel free to disagree with me in the comments. But Jaylen Brown went on a great run to the NBA Finals. He did everything that was asked of him, and look what his cards have done over the last 2 years. They spiked up here. Of course, that was during the bubble of 2021, and now they've come all the way back down to where it's $500 for a Jaylen Brown Silver PSA 10 rookie card. Again, you guys got to remember, these are silvers that actually mattered. In 2016, silvers weren't printed like they were in 2018, where there's over 2,000 Luka Doncic Prizm Silver PSA 10s, or 2019, where there's over 2,000 Zion Williamson PSA 10s. This is 2016, before Panini decided to open the floodgates. So look at the pops: 134, 180, 189, 247, 95, 137, 196. Those are rare cards, guys. Especially given the demand for these types of players. A lot of these guys still have the ability to be franchise cornerstones. I'm talking about DeJounte Murray, Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown. I'm not so sure on Sabonis. Sabonis' big problem is if you thought that Indiana and Indianapolis, Indiana was obscure and completely forgotten and overlooked by the hobby, this just goes to show you what happens when you go to Sacramento. There's always a worse place you could be unless you're actually in Sacramento, in which case there's no worse place to be in the world for your basketball cards, at least, than Sacramento, California. I hope I didn't just lose a subscriber who lives there, but it is an absolute death sentence for your basketball cards if you play in Sacramento. At least in the past 50 years, it's been that way. So Ben Simmons, Siakam bringing up the rear, DeJounte Murray a clear-cut winner. Let's narrow the focus down here to the last year. Okay, so now we see people did take notice of the season that Brandon Ingram did have last year, bringing the Pelicans to the play-in game. And without Zion Williamson. So played a whole season without Zion, clearly established himself as the man. His cards kind of held steady. They're up 7.14%. If we look at that over the last year here we go. This is what that graph's going to look like. Dip during the year. It ran up in the preseason, dipped during the year, and then now it's running up again as we approach this preseason. I would not be surprised at all if his cards push the 700, 750 mark before this season starts. I wanted to buy in. I should have bought in. I'm a big Brandon Ingram fan. He's on my fantasy basketball team in my Dynasty League. I think really highly of him. I watch a lot of games. He's not been the most consistent, predictable, dependable finisher of games, but the kid puts up fantastic numbers, and his cards have actually weathered the storm over the last year when damn near every Prizm Silver PSA 10 card out there has taken a nosedive, including Luka the Don, the golden boy himself. Brandon Ingram Prizm Silver PSA 10s over the last year during this downturn in the hobby have managed to increase in value $40 a card, 7.14%. DeJounte Murray still strong, up 57%. The rest of the guys still down, albeit not quite as, precipitously, I should say. So still down over the last year, but over the last 2 years down significantly more. Let's keep narrowing the focus to the last 6 months. Over the last 6 months, again, Ingram has now had the biggest uptick. DeJounte Murray's prices have actually decreased over the last 6 months, and that's I guess primarily because he played in San Antonio, and then maybe now his cards have started to even rise a little bit. We're going to look at that in just a second. But Brandon Ingram over the last 6 months, his cards are up 50%. That's a big jump there. I mean, you're talking about $200 gross value per card. That's a pretty impressive deal. I've got him pulled up over here. There he is over the last 6 months. Started at 400. Last one sold 600. It's been 1, 2, 3 good-looking sales in a row. So that's not an anomaly. There is a little bit of a sample size. That's 18 sales over the last 6 months. Jaylen Brown has sold significantly more than anybody on this list, and there's no surprise there. It's because people prospected leading in. Excuse me, I'm burping here. I had a giant protein smoothie after my workout. Jaylen Brown's cards ran up as we approached the NBA Finals and then ran down after the NBA Finals, which is almost always the case, and you can see it right here. I've got his last 6 months. Let's see where this is. Yep, May 29th. So, finals are somewhere in here. Cards go up, cards peak. Somebody freaks out because he has a monster game. The Celtics might win the finals. Then all hell breaks loose and his cards drop all the way to $316. I'm kicking myself for not just buying a hellacious quantity of these for about $350, $400. I should have just bought every one I could get my hands on. There's only 247 of them. He's the highest pop out of the 2016 class. And I'm kind of kicking myself for not buying more, but I've got a pretty solid Jaylen Brown collection, all rookie card collection. So I'm sitting on a pretty good chunk of Jaylen Brown cards, and I'm happy to watch this roller coaster continue. My guess is he won't be a Celtic forever, and when he does get moved, I see him like a James Harden, where he can just take a team, become the clear-cut, high usage rate alpha, and I think then his cards will really flourish. So I'm sitting on my Jaylen Brown. I'm not buying any more. I'm not selling any for sure. I'm just holding. But it's interesting to see that Jaylen Brown cards have gone up 21%, even after that post-finals dip over the last 6 months. Jamal Murray, flat. DeJounte Murray actually is now starting to go down over the last 6 months. It'll be interesting to see if that's a positive green number when we look at the last 1 month since that trade. Sabonis, again, continues to drop like a rock, and it's the Sacramento factor. His cards were really, really hot. I think he made an all-star team. Maybe I'm crazy, but he still was putting up gigantic numbers in Indiana. And then, obviously moving over to Sacramento is just like the worst thing that could happen to your cards. Siakam, death march. Ben Simmons, good Lord, completely forgotten, off the radar, hobby, absolute black sheep. So Ben Simmons cards were $1,500 6 months ago, $384 today. Let's keep going down and narrow the focus yet again to 3 months. Okay, so now over the last 3 months, things starting to look a little bit better. If you'll notice, there's 4 players that are in the green, right? And so a lot of this is going to hinge on this offseason movement. As we know, we've seen this cycle before. Cards go down towards the end of the season. If your player is not in the playoffs, cards tend to go up slowly and gradually in the offseason, leading up to a crescendo right at the peak, beginning of the next NBA season, as people start to buy in and start to prospect and start to make short-term plays. And so that's what we're seeing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 players' cards have gone up. Jamal Murray, his cards, these cards are all priced relatively similarly. Look at this. So Jaylen Brown is a $500 card. Oh, sorry, last sold. Jaylen Brown's a $525. Jamal Murray's a $657. DeJounte Murray is a $640. And Brandon Ingram is a $600. Out of those 4 guys, it surprises me that Jaylen Brown is the lowest price, because I think Jaylen Brown's upside is greater than Jamal Murray and DeJounte Murray. I've always struggled with that Jaylen Brown versus Brandon Ingram, who I think has the most upside. That's a really tough one. I'm taking Sabonis and Siakam out of here because I don't think they're on the level of these 4 guys up here. That's just me personally as a prospect. I don't think they're ceiling. I think we've seen Siakam's ceiling, and I don't think Sabonis is ceiling, just because he's kind of a big. I mean, bigs don't really sell well, and they're just not as hyped in the hobby, and they don't have the same volatile price swings as guards and wings. So I don't put those guys in the same category. Ben Simmons is just an anomaly. I'm going to leave him out of this equation because, the hobby is so, well, they're not divided. Let's just put it this way. I have a very unique opinion of Ben Simmons because I can respect his unnatural, just freakish talent. But at the same time, I'm greatly disappointed in, what he's put as far as a product, what he's put out there over the last 2 or 3 years. Maybe the last 2 years, I should say. So He's got a chance to redeem himself. It's once you've fallen so far from grace in the hobby, it's really hard to get back in the hobby's good graces and get that card momentum going again. We've seen it happen numerous times. It's happening to Siakam right now. He was a hobby darling for a little bit there, and then people kind of soured on him, and then he had a really good year, and it just wasn't enough. People just didn't care. So it's hard to get back in the hobby's good graces once you've fallen out. So we'll see. We'll see if Ben Simmons can do that, but. Out of these four guys, man, I'm taking Jalen and Brandon over DeJounte and Jamal Murray. And I'll be the first one to admit, statistically, DeJounte Murray was an absolute phenom last year. That's just me, and that's just my take. But that's what their cards have done over the last 3 months. Sabonis taking the biggest dip. Ben Simmons still crashing. Siakam's finally leveled out at about $150 a card. It's pretty affordable. It's scary considering it was once a $1,700 card. So... a million blessings to whoever bought that Pascal Siakam Prizm Silver 10 at $1,700. I can guess when that purchase was made. And then let's go down and narrow it even further to just the last month and see what happens. All right, so we don't have a lot of sales. That's interesting. 5 total sales for over 1,000 cards. Like if you add up all of these pops, that's really shocking. Not very many price points, so we don't want to get too carried away here. We've got 3 Brandon Ingram sales here in the last month. There they are, up and away. 460, 500, and 600. There's been 1 Jaylen Brown sale. And it doesn't even show up on there. And then there's been 1 Ben Simmons sale, and it doesn't. Yeah, there it is, $384. And then the other guys haven't even sold. So interesting. I didn't look at eBay to see what's out there and what's available, but I thought you would find that interesting. And this just kind of gives you a nice little window of how kind of card prospecting works for the 2016 class. As you can see, over the last 2 years, everybody's down except DeJounte. And then as we narrow the focus and we start looking at the last 3 months, it looks like the hobby's dipped. The hobby's kind of starting to level out a little bit. Maybe we haven't seen the full-fledged basement bottom of the regression, but it is the basketball offseason, which is where people try to start buying back into young players like this. And these guys are still young. Like I said, they're entering their 5th or 6th year, depending on injuries. But that's young, man. I mean, some of those guys are 24, 25, 26 years old. They haven't hit their prime yet. NBA prime now is like 29 to 31. I know that sounds old, but it's not. That's kind of the NBA prime, which is why it's always scary when we talk about Doncic, even Giannis. Like, they haven't hit their prime yet. And Giannis has 2 MVPs. Doncic has 3 All-NBAs, and he's a baby. So, these guys are just now approaching their prime, and the game is really starting to slow down, and they're entering the matrix where they can master their environment. And so it'll be interesting to see which of these guys takes a huge step forward. Like I said, if I'm a gambling man, and if I was going to buy into some of these guys, I'd personally buy into Ingram and Jaylen Brown, and I'm not sitting here telling you to buy their Prizm Silver PSA 10s by any stretch, because I probably wouldn't, even though it's not a high pop card. I may say go buy, their national treasures if you could afford it or whatever, or their golds or their oranges or whatever color match is. I'm not telling you what cards to go buy. I'm just approaching it from a purely basketball analytics standpoint. I'm liking Ingram. I'm liking the trajectory of that Pelicans team. I'm liking Jaylen Brown because he's a win either way. They've added Brogdon. They've added a couple of other pieces. They made it to the finals last year. They're going to be better than last year. And so Jaylen Brown's either going to ride that wave of team success, in which case I think his cards will increase in value, or he's going to get traded, in which case I think his cards will really bounce up in value, depending on the destination. As long as he doesn't go join Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento, we don't want that. But if Jaylen Brown goes to the Nets, like as was purported or rumored, or a Chicago or a Miami or any team like that that's even remotely relevant, big market, or somewhat of a contender, I think his cards will absolutely explode, especially if he's the man for that franchise, which I think he has the ability to be a two-way monster in this league. So anyway, that's it, guys. Just wanted to kind of talk to you about that 2016 class. Nothing really great, no really amazing conclusions here. I just wanted to share some numbers with you guys. I love digging into the indexes and card ladder and looking at price comparisons and things like that. Hopefully you guys enjoy my nerdy math approach to basketball card collecting and investing. Let me know what you guys think about the 2016 class. Let me know what you guys think about 2016 Prizm Silver in comparison to, say, 2018 and 2019 Prizm Silver cards. Why are they being treated with the same disdain as 2018 and 2019 crazy high pop cards. Just because they have the same title, Prizm Silver PSA 10, doesn't mean it's the same card. Go look at the pops. These are not crazy high pop cards. So I think maybe the pendulum has swung too far on some of these 2016 and 2017 Prizm Silver PSA 10 rookie cards. I think it's guilt by association. I think it's like the negativity that's associated with the Doncic and the Zion and the John Morant over pop has permeated into prior years that are not over pop. So let me know what you think. I'd like to hear your comments below. Again, call them what you want. Maybe they're still commodity cards. I don't know. I just want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. And anyway, this is an interesting little look at the 2016 class. We'll look at a couple other classes as well along the way. Maybe the 2017 class is next. You never know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.